Have you ever thought about what it's like to be face to face with the devil? Me either. 4 words to describe this book: lack of self-worth. I cannot believe I just read that. Managed to piss me off the entire time.
I know that's right.
What's up, friends and fam? It's your girl Janet coming back to you with another video. If this is your first time seeing my face, I post international travel vlogs, I post book reviews, I post things about my hair soon to come, because I be getting questions about that a lot on Instagram, which if you're not following me, follow me on Instagram at Janet Alces. Yeah, there's gonna be so much that I want to do with this page and talk about, so stay tuned for that. Y'all, I'm so bad with intros. I'm just gonna hop into this video because that's really what I'm excited about, okay? This is the first book I read this year. Long Live the Tribe of Fatherless Girls by T. Kira Madden. This is a memoir. I read this back in January, by the way. If I could describe this book in 4 words, I would say it's honest, shocking, hilarious, and inspiring. This book right here, oh, Lord. And there's this show on Hulu called Pen 15, like it look like penis.
When does it?
Maya.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa. How long were we out for? 10 seconds. We lost our minds, you guys.
And that's just who she was giving, honestly. She was giving these type of vibes for the first couple of chapters. My favorite part about this book was that it was extremely relatable in some aspects, but at the same time, she did go through a lot. She went through a lot of things that, you know, the average person might not have went through. Another favorite thing about this book for me is the fact that she was able to write and put in all these embarrassing, shocking bits that I personally would be too self-conscious to admit to be honest with you. I hope that I get the courage, bravery, I don't know, like whatever it took for her to write this book and publish it. That's what I wish for in my late 20s, because she's just so honest and raw in this book. So if you dig deeper, you realize that this book is mostly about family and forgiveness and being able to be open to the people who hurt you in the past, or people who were absent and should have been there, people who should have protected you. I think that if you are like a 90s kid, 2000s kid, you're gonna enjoy this book, for real. I am gonna include trigger warnings. So the trigger warnings for this book: sexual assault, objectification of women, as well as drug and alcohol addiction. But yeah, this is a great book overall. 4 stars. I'm giving 5 stars to the books that deserve it, like absolutely deserve it, so keep that in mind. My tag for this book is protect women and brave woman, because like I said, she was very brave to write so much in depth about her life. The book that I read right after was Purple Hibiscus, which I know I'm probably late on. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Don't do it. Honestly, I don't want to butcher her name, but I'm gonna try. The author's name is Chimamanda Adichie. I know I love this author and I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I freaking suck. But I originally found her back in like high school. She did this TED Talk about feminism, and I love that speech so much that I did a whole presentation, a whole 16-minute speech on her speech alone. And then later on, Beyonce came out with her album, and her speech was in the background, and I said,
but not too much.
I know that's right.
But so anyway, whenever I found this book, I already knew that I was gonna love it, because she's just such a great storyteller, writer, speaker, all of that good stuff. If I had to describe this book in 4 words, it would be
silent, or were you silenced?
No, for real. It would be oppression, family, religion, and guys, these are Nigerian names, so if I'm butchering them, please don't come for me. I'm doing my best. I want to say that the main character's name is Kambili, and she's 15 years old, and her brother is Jaja. The 2 of them live a very wealthy life in Nigeria because their father is a businessman and he has a high status in the religious world. I read this book back in like January, February, so I don't remember exactly what he does, but I just know he was rich. He was a businessman. He made moves, okay? But as soon as you start reading, you realize that just because you're rich does not mean you have it all. Like, and just because you're religious does not mean you are not living your own personal hell, because that's exactly what was happening in this book. Outside of their personal family issues, there was also a military coup happening, and it just was not safe in their country. While I can say that this book could be a little dark at times, I really enjoyed it because it made you fall in love with the characters. Like, I really was rooting for the young girl and her brother. I was rooting for their happiness. I was so invested in everything they had going on. And let me tell you, the characters that you're supposed to hate, you're gonna hate them. You're gonna hate them guts. The trigger warnings for this book: abuse, domestic violence, and religious oppression. I give this book a 5 stars, and I'm gonna tag this book under strong women and free women. So the next book I read after Purple Hibiscus was So Sensitive by Anne Rainey. Now, this book was spicy. If I could describe this book in 4 words, it would be erotic, crime-ish, fantasy, rescue romance. It's a rescue romance. So basically in this book, the main character Gracie is dealing with a stalker. She's been dealing with this stalker for months, but all of a sudden he just becomes more aggressive and more like problematic. I mean, a stalker is problematic in general, but y'all know what I mean. Like, he really, like, he feels entitled. So then that's when you get introduced to the love interest, or should I say the lust interest. His name is Wade, and he's a private investigator / ex-military personnel. And he basically makes it his personal mission to protect Gracie and find out who his stalker is. I found this book a little problematic because I feel like it's easy to get in somebody's pants when you're given this savior complex. Like do y'all feel me, or am I just doing too much? But predictably, you know, she falls right into his palms just because she traumatized. Really, sis needs to be falling right into some therapy, but I digress. I would say all the spicy and erotic parts of this book were definitely my favorite, because like the true crime part of it was just not giving. Like, as far as like the stalker, like, this might sound twisted, but I kind of wanted to hear more of the stalker point of view. Like, you know, that would have been interesting to spice it up a little bit, you know, but they were so stuck on being in bed together. So if you want something that's just a little, you know, little thing you can read before you go to bed at night, read this book. Trigger warnings for this book are going to be stalking and alcohol abuse. My hair is curly because I took some braids out, but it's not really. Should I do a middle part? I don't know. I'm gonna tag this book #sexy women, #strong women, and I'm gonna rate this book 3 stars. The next book I read was The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier, and this is another one that I'm late on. Like, I'm so late. Soldier is definitely the bad girl of the millennium, and she is. If I could describe this book in 4 words, it would be hood rat, hustler, ghetto fabulous. If you like drama like me, you're gonna love this book. This book is a coming of age story about a hood rat who lives in New York. I think she's from Brooklyn. Probably Brooklyn. And Miss Thing is determined to be the it girl. I mean, she was kind of born to be the it girl. Like, her father was like the #1 top drug dealer. Do not mess with him. But being the it girl, being that girl, does not mean that you are free from making bad decisions, because she is full of them. Honestly, this character managed to piss me off the entire time. I will say that she did go through a lot, so I can't blame it all on her. But girl, you know you was the problem most of the time though. But I'm not gonna go on this rant. I'm gonna tell you all about this book. I will say this book makes for great entertainment, so tap in. This is a 5 stars from me, and I'm gonna tag it Hood Woman, Evil Woman, Strong Woman. The next book I read is the sequel to the previous book. Funny story, I actually read this one before I read the other one. I'm gonna give it to y'all in order though, so that y'all don't be dumb like me, because I was so confused. But anyway, this book is called Life After Death by Sister Soldier. The 4 words that I would use to describe this book: chaotic, afterlife, karma. This is definitely giving hood rat vibes. The main character, Winter Santiago, is still a mess. Okay, she's still a mess. In this book, she has been in prison for 15 years. 15 years. She went to prison for 15 years. And when she finally gets out of prison, she gets shot and she dies right then and there. So be aware that you are going to be reading the thoughts of a dead person the entire book, which is what confused me. I was like, there's no way that I'm about to be reading the thoughts of a dead person, and that is exactly what I did. And I will say that it was worth it. This novel was filled with so many twists and turns that I was literally out of breath reading it. Like, sometimes when I'm watching TV or reading a book, my anxiety, yeah, you know what anxiety does. So yeah, she stressed me out, literally, physically, mentally, she stressed me out. There were a lot of things in this book that were genuinely gasp-worthy, shocking. Like, I cannot believe I just read that. Have you ever thought about what it's like to be face to face with the devil? Yeah, me either. I am just a little bit disappointed in this book because I personally love when characters have that full circle aha moment.
Does that sound like something you want?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, you'll never get it.
And I just feel like Winter she never gets sad. Like, she just never learns. This is another 5-star book, and I'm gonna give her hood woman, evil woman, strong woman. And you know, I'm not even gonna play her this time. I'm gonna give her businesswoman because she be hustling, okay? She's a hustler. Queenie. I had to take a quick break, but I'm back. Yo, these curls. Anyway, 4 words to describe this book: lack of self-worth. Let me be for real. We're gonna go with chaotic, eye-opening, shocking, hopeful. That's what we're gonna throw in there, hopeful. Yeah. Y'all, I have to say, I'm very disappointed in myself when I was reading this book because I was so judgmental. I was so judgmental of this poor girl. But let me explain, okay? Queenie is a 25-year-old journalist. She's a Jamaican British woman, and she has all this potential to be a bad bitch. Like, she has so much potential. At first glance, this is another book about a young woman who has a terrible habit of making the worst. Not like, okay, this is a good decision, this is an okay decision, this is a bad decision. She makes the worst one. Please understand. The worst decision that she could possibly make each and every time. It's consistent. For at least the first half of the book, time after time, she shows us that she does not respect herself. She shows us she does not respect herself. Moments where I felt that Queenie could have done something to better her situation, she did the exact opposite. And that just really alienated her from me. Like, I could not feel bad for her. I could not feel sorry for her. I just did not like her, to be honest with you. But within like a chapter or two, everything turns around, and then I realized, like, oh, okay. Queenie is just a girl that we have all been in our life at least once. Y'all can't tell me. If you read this book, you're gonna be like, okay, at least once I've been this girl. Like, she finally opens up to us in the home stretch of the book, and we start to realize that there's a lot more trauma to unpack. In the end, I did end up liking the book. I'll give it like a 3.5/4 stars because it's a slow burning book, because it really pissed me off at the beginning. That's exactly what slow burning books do to me. They piss me off. But I'm gonna tag this book #SadWomen, #ProtectWomen. This next book, y'all, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite books. This the one. Sula by Toni Morrison. First of all, y'all already know who Toni Morrison is. Come correct. Like, you already knew this book was gonna be good, and she never disappoints. You never know what to expect from Toni Morrison. You just don't. The 4 words that I'm gonna use to describe this book: shocking, intriguing, twisted, and soulmates. This book follows 2 childhood friends, twin flames if you will, who grow up together, and then in their adult life they completely separate and go their own way. So you got Nell Wright, who is kind of like, I guess you could say she's like a goody two-shoes. She decides to stay back home and raise her family. And then you got Sula Peace, who, she a city girl, both figuratively and literally. She moved to the city and she decided to, you know, just go on her own journey. She had no kids. She was just enjoying her life, exploring herself, doing what, you know, I feel like all women should do, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started this book, I was a little confused, like the first maybe 2 or 3 chapters. But, I mean, that doesn't last long, so just keep reading. I'm giving that warning because I know some of y'all are the type to start reading, and if you don't like it, you instantly put it down. Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on now. And you need the beginning of the story to really understand what's going on. This book made my jaw physically drop at least 3 times. This is one of those books that it was like I let out a little gasp, for real, I'm not gonna lie. When I tell you nothing about this book is predictable, like, how does she even think of this? Every character is just so complex and they're so unique. But I will say that you read it and you realize that the message could be that we're all one and the same at the end of the day. You know, that's a word. Come back to me when you catch it. Come back to me when you catch it. This book also shows the importance of a really good friend. Like, we all just need one person that's gonna be by our side no matter what. The trigger warning for this book is suicide. As you can tell, I'm giving this book 5 stars, and I'm gonna tag it complex women, strong women, smart women, evil women, Jambalaya. This is Jambalaya, the natural woman's book of personal charms and practical rituals. Honestly, I grabbed this book not fully knowing what to expect, which is my fault. Like, I don't know why I just jumped into it with no type of context or anything, but I was really excited, okay, because I guess I made an assumption of what I thought it would be, and it wasn't that, but that's okay. This book is part memoir, part folk tale, folk magic, part women's spirituality. I'll recommend this book to anyone who wants to learn about New Orleans voodoo specifically, which, y'all, I live in New Orleans now. Check out my playlist if y'all haven't already with my New Orleans vlogs. And honestly, that inspires me to dig deeper and learn more while I'm here about the voodoo and about the practices and all of that. This book is very educational, but I just didn't feel like I personally learned a lot. I feel like I needed more context, more pretext before I got to this book. So I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna come back to it. But I did read it, and my honest review is that this book is just not for me. I know a few people who I could recommend this to, and I think that they would love it. I think this book boils down to your interests, it boils down to your spiritual or religious beliefs, and I feel like it boils down to how immersed you are into the culture or your knowledge base. And I think I'm missing the knowledge base and the culture part of it. So like I said, I'm gonna come back to this. I'm gonna tag this book Complex Woman and Magic Woman. This is also one of my favorite books that I read this year. I read this when I was in Costa Rica, and I flew through this book, okay? I did not even think I was gonna be reading like that, but honestly, it took me no time. And it looked thick, don't it? The 4 words that I would use to describe this book: magic, fate, oppression, and revolution. The main character of this book is, I wanna say it's pronounced Zelly, and she is a strong-minded, strong-willed young woman. She wants to free her people from the oppression of the royal family, which is like, she's just so brave. Like, you have to love her. But anyway, this book is definitely giving the Avatar Last Airbender, but the black edition, because, you know, you see her chocolate. These are chocolate melanated people. It's giving adventure, it's giving drama, it's giving social awareness, it's giving everything. It's giving me life. This is another one of those books where you're gonna be rooting for them the entire time. The best part of this book for me was enjoying it so much and then going and reading the author's epilogue and her notes and stuff at the end. You dig deeper, you draw the parallels between what's happening to these people in this book and what's happening to the real black and brown people in the real world. So I appreciate her epilogue, I appreciate the story. It was definitely giving fantasy because I escaped for a good couple days reading this. So thank you. This is 5 stars, and I'm tagging this Magic Woman and Strong Woman. This next book is called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The 4 words I'm going to use for this: karma, twin flames, shame, and race. This book is about 2 twin sisters who grew up in the Deep South. They decided to run away from their very, very small southern community at the age of 16. After running away, they lived together in a city. I want to actually say it might have been New Orleans, which is ironic. But they ran away to a city, and then after just a few years, they got separated from each other. One of the sisters decides to go back home and, you know, be with the rest of her family that she basically abandoned when she was 16. The other sister decides to basically go and start a whole new life. I really don't know how much to say without giving away the book. So that's all I'm gonna say. This is a beautifully written novel that forces you to grapple with the complexities of race, colorism, classism, sonder, like family. Family can be complex, and that's exactly what this shows. It's so great. So when I was first reading this book, I kept drawing parallels between this and the book that I just talked about, Sula. But after a while, it started to resemble more that Netflix drama, The Passing. I don't know if y'all seen that, but yeah. What I appreciate most about this book is the different perspectives. I'm gonna just wrap this up by saying that if you have a thing for family dramas, this is the book for you. If you like to debate about the meaning of true happiness, you might get a kicker out of this. The trigger warning for this book is gonna be sexual assault, and I'm gonna rate this book a 5 stars, and I'm gonna tag this book Complex Women and Strong Women. This next book is for the kid in me. This is The Red Pyramid. Can't believe it took me so long to find this series because I love me some Percy Jackson. The 4 words that I'm going to use to describe this book: Egyptian, mythology, magic, adventure. So after the death of their mother and the capture of their father, Carter Kane reunites with his sister, Casey Kane. Her name is Sadie Kane. Look, y'all, like I said, I read this a couple months ago. And the two of them have to get together to hone in on their Egyptian bloodline and defeat the evil set to save their father. If you know anything about Egyptian mythology, you know that this is just like a reoccurring story. So a little predictable, but still a goodie. Now this book is action-packed. I mean, think of like a little kid movie, like magic, like fun, adventure, fighting, booby traps, all of that good stuff. I appreciate the fact that there were no blue-eyed, blonde-haired characters running around in this book, because Egypt is in Africa, honey. Egypt is in Africa, and somebody needs to tell this to all of these movies. They keep putting these. I'm gonna give this a 5 stars, and I'm gonna say, because of Sadie Kane, I'm gonna say hashtag strong woman and hashtag brave woman, hashtag magic woman. How did I almost miss that? Okay, y'all, I had to take a little break because I was hungry. Okay. So the next book I read after The Red Pyramid was Well-Read Black Girl. This book was curated by the founder of the Well-Read Black Girl book club. I follow them on Instagram and I get some great recommendations for them. It's a collection of essays and short stories by Black women for Black women. This book focuses on the importance of seeing ourselves in the stories that we read and write, because you know we constantly see European, Caucasian descent in movies and shows and books, so it's always refreshing and it's always inspiring to see somebody who looks like you. Some of these stories and essays I really enjoyed, and some of them were not my cup of tea. I feel like everybody is going to relate to a different story in this book. Overall, I really appreciate the message that this book spreads, and I'm so thankful because there are so many good recommendations in here. So many. Like, there's a whole list of books that I never read for Black women, by Black women, all that good stuff. This is actually the last book I finished. Y'all, this book was so good. It's so good. These curls don't want to quit, baby. It's short. It's only 200 pages, which I wish it was longer, because the 4 words that I'm going to use to describe this book: shocking, twisted, marriage, and redemption. I mean, okay. The gist of this book is Ansley Greenberg basically realizes that her marriage is like at a standstill. Like they're not gonna get over this hump that they're on after 15 years of marriage. She's like, it's boring, it's not working, we gotta do something different. So what does she do? At dinner, she tells her husband, we should just have an open marriage. Like, let's get this thing popping. You go on dates on Tuesdays, I'm gonna go on Thursdays. We don't say nothing about what happened on our dates, who we was with, nothing. And hopefully it spices back up our marriage. It helps us realize, you know, who we are as people, and whatever we lost, it'll bring it back to us tenfold or whatever. All you need to know is that after they go on their dates, everything goes downhill. Secrets spill out. You start to realize people got ulterior motives. It's just crazy. It's crazy. This is another one of those books you're never gonna predict what happened next. It's literally impossible. If you predict what happens next, I will give you $100.
Oh yeah, I got it in my purse for you right now. I brought it just for you. Because I knew you was gonna ask me for it. I don't have it with me.
This is a page turner for sure. This is the first book that I read by this author, but I'm definitely gonna be reading more. 5 stars, and I'm gonna tag it Smart Women, Complex Women. I also read this book this year. I read this book 1 star. Yes, I got it just because my name is in it, and I regret it. This book is about a woman who is depressed, but she does not want to get better. Like, no matter how much support, no matter if she goes to the doctor, no matter what she does, she just doesn't, she wants to be depressed. So I really didn't appreciate this book, and I just thought I should mention, if you thinking about buying it, don't. Y'all, this is an honorable mention. I did not read this book this year, but I do want to put this in the video because it does relate. This is 50 Affirmations for Black Women by Brandy Williams, who is one of my old mentors, and Beverly Sanders. I love this book because it is very inspiring. Some of these are deep, some of these are lighthearted. It's something in here for everybody. So if you need some good affirmations for a Black woman, check out this book. This is also an honorable mention. I read this back in college, The Woman of Color, A Tale by Anonymous, edited by London J. Dominique. I love this book because this book was placed in like the 1800s, and even in the 1800s with depression and all that good stuff, she's still a baddie. You can't keep a bad down. You just can't. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Binti is another honorable mention. This is a sci-fi book. This is set in space. I read this one in college and I liked it. It was really good. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment below with the book recommendation that fits in this category, or just something you think I should read in general.